All right, we're going to go ahead and get started. Welcome to the Minnesota State High School League and the MYAS uh, Recruitment Forum. We are happy that you're here. We have a lot of experienced officials on this call that can help answer questions, but a lot of new folks that are looking to find out more about officiating. My name is Jason Nickleby, and I'm an assistant director with the league, and I oversee our officiating program. Um, I'm going to have a couple other folks presenting on here tonight, and we'll get to them here in a second. But um, first, just again, make sure your line is muted, and if you have any questions as we go, please throw those in the chat because again, our presenters or other experienced officials can assist in answering questions as we go. But we're excited that you're on here tonight to learn more about this great avocation, and we're looking forward to sharing that information with you. We're going to start tonight with Tim Layton, who is my colleague at the Minnesota State High School League. Tim has officiated high school basketball for the last 35 seasons. He's also officiated at one time or another soccer, baseball, and softball as well at other points in his career. So just comes at it from a number of angles, and he's also had great experience working in the media side of things, working for the Pioneer Press prior to coming to the league 10 years ago at the same time as me. So happy to have Tim share a little bit about his experience and get us started here tonight. So thanks, Tim.
Well, very good, Jason, and good evening, everybody, and welcome. And an additional congratulations to all of you for getting to the starting line of your officiating careers by joining us tonight. This is an exciting time, but it's also a time of wonder as you navigate this avocation. Now, it's time for another edition of a Tim Talk, sponsored by the Minnesota State High School League. Just to share that this week is a busy one, especially for basketball officials. Wednesday is the deadline for all of your eligibility requirements to be completed. Now, that includes taking an online exam. What kind of official are you going to be? Are you going to be the kind that takes care of business far in advance? Or are you going to be a last minute Louie that flirts with a deadline and you're getting things in right under that deadline? Tonight, I'd like to visit with you for a moment or two about the rule book. Now, this doesn't mean that you need to turn the sound down or take a quick nap or turn your video off. No, I'm not going to talk about a thorough, examination of the rule book, but instead to talk about it as a trusted and valued resource. Now, getting into the rule book, the case book, or any other kind of written resource is going to be a key part of your learning and your growth as an official, but it's not the only thing. Let me share an anecdote with you from my experience. Now, many years ago, I'm thinking this has got to be 20 to 25 years ago, an assigner in the West Metro asked me if I could do him a favor. And this favor was if I could work a ball game with a young official who was about to make his officiating debut. I looked at my calendar and I had a college game that night. So I said, yes, I can make that happen. And one word of advice here that I'll insert is that as an official, try to say yes as often as possible. All sorts of opportunities are going to come your way. So please try to say yes as often as possible. I arrived at that school on game day in plenty of time to meet this young official and have a quality pregame meeting with him. You will find in your adventure, in your journey in officiating, a pregame is key. You'll probably even hear that tonight. He was so excited when I first met him. And I remember him vividly saying, Mr. Layton, I'm really looking forward to working with you. I've watched you work big games before, and I really like how you manage a game. I thanked him for his kind words and I asked him how he was feeling going into his first game. He replied, Mr. Layton, I've read the rule book frontward, backward, and every other direction, I know the rules and I'm ready to go. End quote. That's how I remember. Now, after sharing some other preparatory information, we were ready to meet with the coaches. He listened, observed, and said to me before tip off, "This is great. I'm already learning so much." So after tip off, the game progressed, and during the first quarter, yes, they were quarters back then, not the halves that we play now, he did not blow the whistle one time. Now, I'm sure I blew mine as I felt I had to try to bring some balance to the officiating. But during a timeout in the second quarter, I asked him how he was doing. And he said, "Really good. I just haven't had anything in my area yet to call." Well, I thought that was kind of curious, and I thought maybe some nerves were at play here too. But I think he had a handful, but maybe he was just overthinking it a bit. Finally, just before halftime, he blew his whistle. The crowd absolutely erupted with a cheer because they knew, and for him to put air in his whistle and blow it was really excited to them. It didn't matter what the call was going to be. They could tell that it was a veteran with a rookie on that particular day. With his arm raised, we waited for some kind of sign to see what call he had. But after many seconds filled the air, he didn't have anything. He ran over to me really quickly and he whispers to me, "What do I have? What do I have?" And I'm trying to make the conference look very official, but I said back to him, "I'm not sure, but you better come up with something really quickly." And he leaves the on-court conference and quickly gives a traveling sign. We're going the other way. So, as you might imagine, half of the crowd loved the call, the others did not, and that's what you will face as you continue down your officiating journey. The point of this story, and this is a story that stuck with me for years, and I share it along the way when I work with younger officials, is to share that knowing the rules is just a part of your preparation. Motivate yourself to also prepare by watching some videos, attending games, taking notes, and seeking a veteran official that will continue to nurture you as you grow. And as for that rule book, it is your in-season friend. It's your best friend. Take it with you wherever you go. It's just the right size to put in your pocket, your jacket pocket, wherever you go. Make sure it is with you. The next time you take a flight, instead of watching a movie that you probably already watched 14 times, pull out that rule book or that case book. Take a look at it. Take some quality time and you're going to learn a thing or two. As a veteran in I've been in this 35 years now, I always learn a little tidbit. Today I went to Jason's office and asked him a question after watching the shot clock video, and there was a term in there that I didn't know, and he shared that with me. Evidently, it's been around for years. So we all can learn something. At lunch, pull out that rule book or that case book, and I guarantee you're going to pick up something new. If any of you are wondering about that official that I worked with, we had a great conversation afterwards. I encouraged him to keep at it, use these games, use these experiences as opportunities for growth. And now he is a state tournament level official that also works the college ball as well. That someday can be you. Best wishes to all of you tonight as you continue to learn and expand as you prepare for this avocation of officiating. Best wishes to all as you embark on this incredible journey. You've got an incredible resource here with you tonight. Please reach out and use us as you continue forward. Jason, back to you.
Awesome. Thanks, Tim. We've shared this before that there's a lot of folks just like Tim in this avocation that are just as passionate and interested in helping new and young folks get started and stay in this business. And so we always appreciate having Tim kick us off with this forum because it's just a nice positive reminder of why we do what we do. So thanks, Tim, for getting us started. I'm going to share a presentation that Tony and I are going to go through um, to talk about some basic pieces for the program and getting started um, with the MYAS and with the Minnesota State High School League. I'll have Tony introduce himself when we get to his particular sides. Tony runs the officiating program with Minnesota Youth Athletic Services, and we'll speak to the opportunities that are there with youth officiating, and how that ties in with the high school league and how those are connected. And then I'm going to speak to the steps to becoming an official and what the expectations are with the league, and then we can get to questions at the end. This slide shows state tournament officials from last year and the year prior. All these folks, outstanding officials and people from all over the state, from a number of sports, and just really a great representation of what opportunities are there to see people and places and do things that you never thought you would do until you got into officiating. So just a really good snapshot of an outstanding group. And this is just a small shot, of our state tournament officials. We have 1,200 assignments throughout the year for our state tournaments. So quite a number of people that are committed and do a great job to make that happen. And obviously a lot more people than that assist us with making our regular seasons and our section tournaments what they are. So really good group here that gives you a good idea of the positive impact that officials have in our tournaments. So as I mentioned, Tony's going to present with me. This forum was the idea of Brett Carlson, who passed away a couple years ago now. But we've continued to pursue this recruitment forum because we think it's the best way to get people information quickly about officiating at the high school and youth level without having to leave the comfort of your home. We tried this in person the very first time and it went great, but COVID made us reassess how we do these, and we think that offering these through Zoom is really our best avenue to get information out to all of you in a free, painless way. And we do it 3 times a year, seasonally, really, as we prepare for the winter season, and then we'll do another one here as we get ready for the spring season, and then we do one in the summer. So continuing to do them with memory of Brett, who did a great job of continuing to push for these kind of opportunities for officials. The league's officiating program, as I mentioned, I'm the assistant director in charge of the officiating program, but Pam is just as much involved, if not more so, in a lot of things, and she's really the face of our program, and does a really nice job with our 6,000 folks that have questions and need things to get ready for their seasons, and then once we get going, to keep them up to date with whatever they need. So Pam's a great resource as well that you'll come to know. We have our regional and state coordinators as part of our staff. Those are our supervisors, and we have them in each sport. And then associations, we'll talk about them a little bit more once we get into the presentation, but they're very instrumental in assisting officials in their sport and they're part of the state. And within the associations, we have charter clinicians, which are kind of the lead person for their association that assists with rules interpretations and mechanics and training. And then we have our observer program, and they're just really critical in providing information to make our officials better and to provide a more consistent approach to how we handle our contests. So that's the group of folks that make up kind of the leadership structure of our program, and they all do a great job of leading their respective sports and members. All right, I'm going to turn it over to Tony to speak about MYAS opportunities and um, how you can get started in youth officiating, how that connects with league participation. Tony?
Thanks, Jason. Appreciate you. Yeah, a lot of what Jason and Tim both said. This is where we start really at the youth level. So for the MYS, we are just a youth organization. We cover grades third through eight and four sports now. We're getting ready for the best season coming up here, basketball. Registration has already opened. So you can go onto our website, mys.org, go to the basketball officials page, and use one of the two links. If you're high school certified, again, Jason spoke on it, we are connected with the high school league. But if you're not a high school official yet, you would use the youth only official link that's on the basketball page. And again, that's where you're going to get your feet wet, right? If you've never officiated basketball, but you're super curious, or any sport for that matter, MYS is a great place to start because we can get you at that youth level. So you're not going right into the frying pan, right? I mean, because you all want to work to get to that, championship game. Jace just spoke of it. I've worked a few in my time, and it's a great opportunity. And working youth games is where you're going to get your reps. You're going to work, 5, 6 basketball games on a Saturday, same on a Sunday. So this is where you're going to get those reps where you see plays and how to manage coaches and talk with players and ignore the fans, right? We have to ignore them because they're going to be there. They think it's their kid's the next greatest superstar, but we got to deal with that. So, and that's part of being an official. And how we handle all those situations will truly separate us from, being just a guy out there doing it or how far you want to go with it. So again, working at the youth level, it's a great place to start. And then once you get, comfortable doing what you do, then hey, Minnesota State High School League and all of our signers that we use are high school officials themselves. And then there's high school assigning groups that you would get into as well. So Jay will probably talk a little bit more about that because it is a group effort to get one person through, right? It's like planting a seed. You can't plant it and walk away and hope for fruit, right? You have to nurture it and educate it, right? Having that rule book in hand, right? I mean, Tim talked about that earlier. We want to make sure that we're always getting into a rule book. If it's a bus ride to school, bus ride to work, whatever it is, just try to read one page a day and you're gonna, like you said, you're gonna learn some stuff. And it's that way you can take it out to the court. So again, MYS is a great place to start. We cover all the metro area and then some greater metro. Like we get down to Rochester, we'll go up into Duluth. There's some in Mankato that we cover as well. So if you are interested in any youth sport, I would be your contact person. You can find my information right on the website just as well. And then again, once you feel comfortable, you can let your assigner know. And once you get into it, everybody you're working with is going to be like, hey, what are your goals and where do you see yourself in 3 years? Where do you see yourself in 5 years, right? You should start planning those goals for yourself. That way you can get the support that you need and reach out to the correct people that will help you. Because there's going to be some, you're gonna run into some, hard walls, and then there's gonna be a lot of open doors for you. So make sure that you're always reaching out and contacting and just communicating with your partner when you work. It's a two-man crew. You get to the high school, it's 3-man, college is 3-man. Talking basketball now, because that's the sport, well, that's the season we're getting into, and that's the sport I officiate. So I don't want to put wrestling on the back burner or anything like that because I work multiple sports. And once you kind of get the bug, you kind of want to like stay active and stay busy. And again, MYS is a great place to start if you've never worked. And if you are a high school official and you've been in there for a couple, 2, 3 years, but you want to get more reps because you're not getting a lot of games, come and work for us on the weekends. Again, that's where you're going to get the reps in. So that's what we do. Anytime you need anything throughout your journey, you can reach any one of us, right? I love phone calls because now we can talk about it and I can hear your passion and I can share my passion with you. Um, emails just fine too. But again, we have the same kind of structure. We're like the little brother to the high school league. We have, when you register, you're gonna have to do a background check, concussion module, take a test, watch a virtual clinic, do all those things that every official does, and you have to do it each year. It's part of the, ongoing education. So, um, yeah, if you are interested in youth or just you're brand new, reach out to us and we can get you started. And then, again, plenty of people on this call and throughout the metro area that will help you in your journey for sure. So, yeah, Jay, that's what we have at the MYS. Again, it's just the first step if you've never officiated. So reach out to me. Again, we cover basketball, baseball, football, and we have wrestling events as well. So.
All right, very good. Thanks, Tony. I would say also um, something to note is even though the MYS just addresses those four particular sports, the league has connections with the youth sport organizations with all of the other sports that the league sanctions. And we have 18 of those that have officials, and we have connections with the youth side of things in pretty much every sport. So if you wanted to go down the youth front in um, gymnastics or hockey or softball, we can work with the folks in those respective programs to assist you with getting going in the youth side of things in those sports. But if you're looking to work youth basketball, um, or the baseball side of things, some football, wrestling. MYS is a great place to do that. Great start. They provide great training and mentorship, and they will get you going. And it's just a great way to get extra plays and then also to work your way into working at the high school level. So stay in touch with Tony or go to myas.org to find more information on moving forward with officiating with the MYAS. And if you're looking for other youth opportunities, you can email us at the league at officials@mshsl.org, and we can put you in touch with the right folks to get started. Many of these things have been mentioned by Tim, Tony, as reasons to become an official, and there's much more than what's listed here, but certainly relationships is the key one there, I would say. All of my friends are officials. Or just about all of my wedding party was officials, and that was 20 years ago. And all the folks I continue to see today are officials, and all people that I met primarily through working high school events. So um, just a lot of great people out there, and you'll meet great coaches and great ADs, and the kids are awesome, to work with. So you'll just find a lot of relationships that you will build in this avocation that you never would have had if it weren't for that officiating opportunity. And it's a chance to give back to the sports that we've all participated in. Um, we're in the midst of our state tournaments, or just finishing up our fall state tournaments. We have state football championship games this weekend, and without the officials that provide our regular season opportunities and into our postseason, those kids don't have those great opportunities and those memories. And so it's a chance to give back, and it's a lot of fun. A chance to stay involved, obviously, and get paid to run around a little bit in most sports. That's always a good thing. Now that I've taken time off from basketball to chase my kids around to events, which is awesome. But I also have to force myself to get on the bike now because I don't get to run around and officiate basketball like I used to. So just a good opportunity to get out and exercise and have some fun, and skills you develop as an official can be applied anywhere else. I certainly have applied conflict resolution skills as a parent. that I apply as an official. There's ways to, manage situations and manage people that help you in your regular job, things that you may have learned in officiating. So, there's always that opportunity, and obviously, making a little bit of money is a good thing. And with the new agreement, at least in the metro area, compensation for working high school contests is as good as it's ever been and in a pretty good spot. And there's just a lot of opportunities in that regard. At the league, our job is to promote officiating as something that people want to do and continue to do. We do that through a number of avenues, and we'll talk a little bit more about some of those. But registration, observation programs we talked about. Registration is the payment side of things, which covers rules books and clinics and other resources that Tim mentioned. Training and development included in that. We're the liaison to our officials associations, of which we have over 100 unique officials associations across the state. And we're always looking to get better. And so we're working with our officials and our supervisors to always make our program the best that we can make it. And then our responsibility at the league is to select officials for our state tournaments. And we'll get into how regular season assignments work here in a bit. Also at the league, our work is to teach the fundamentals of rules and mechanics, which is where you stand and where you look and how you communicate effectively. Because if you can master those things or continue to work on those things, you're going to just continue to get better as an official. And part of that is going through online rules modules, our training clinic opportunities, and then our training that we provide throughout the season versus just giving you a one and done approach. We try to continually offer resources for you to get better throughout the season. And part of that is connecting with experienced officials that can mentor you. Tim talked about that in his side of things. And then a promotion of a safe environment. Nothing against other levels of play, but I would tell you that as far as having a safe place to officiate, there's not a lot of safer places than working a high school league event. Because we have superintendents, principals, ADs, and for the most part, coaches that do everything they can to provide a great environment, not just for officials, but for everybody. And if people aren't going to adhere to those expectations, then they're going to be asked to leave. We just had a situation come up at a hockey game, and the spectator got out of hand, and our school handled it immediately. Had them removed, said they're not welcome at games coming up, because at the end of the day, it's a school environment. It's always an extension of the classroom, and we're going to have a great environment. And the MYAS does a great job of that too. And they have supervision and oversight at their sites. So they're going to make sure that that's what it needs to be at their particular locations. But I just wanted you to know that you may see things on social media or on the news, officials getting yelled at or chased or, in some cases, God forbid, assaulted. That is an absolute rarity in Minnesota. It just doesn't happen very often. And if it does, it gets dealt with immediately because our schools are promoting a safe environment, not just for officials, but for everyone that's involved in their programs. And here's just a couple examples of ways that we try to promote and recognize the folks that work our contests. And a lot of it is our schools going out of the way to try to thank officials and have a great environment. And part of that is our Thank a Ref program as well, which has been really successful for us. You saw these folks earlier, but they're also part of all of our promotional materials. We put them up on Jumbotrons at our state tournaments, and we surveyed officials recently. We put that information up there. So if you continue to work hard and get into one of our tournaments, you too could be a giant person on a jumbotron at US Bank Stadium. So, but we continue to use these resources at this event and or others to try to promote officiating. And there's the QR code right there that takes you right to our site.
During my time on that last photo, I worked with 5 of those officials over my time too. So
Yeah.
again, Jason talked about that. Great friendships come out of officiating. So
Super good people, and that's just, like I said, a small snapshot of the good people we have involved in this side of things. From a recruitment and registration standpoint, we do have the recruitment portal, which has association contacts, steps for the registration process, FAQs, and all of that is to assist officials who want to get into the avocation, but also our current 6,000 contest officials. And our job is to provide them with resources again to put them in position to be successful. And part of that is preseason mailings for them, which is a rules book and case book if we have those, mechanics manuals in some cases like basketball. And then always working with them through their associations or their contacts to try to, again, put them in position to be successful as an official. We're going to do everything we can to try to do that. If you're ready to register, meaning you have a connection with an association or an assigner, or you have some experience, then you can click on the link and register right on Arbiter. That will get sent as part of some follow-up information that will come from our office, including the recording of this particular forum. We do all of our registration eligibility on Arbiter Sports. MYAS does that as well. So hopefully that helps you with that, connection, and there's one less step there. We can connect you with an association who can get you going with mentors and uniforms and all those pieces that you need to get started with officiating. The fee is nominal for new officials. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But once you register, the requirements for you to work varsity contests are a general officials module, a sport-specific online rules presentation, the exam, concussion module, and a background check. And if you do those pieces, you're eligible to work varsity contests. Are you ready to work varsity contests? Probably not, but you are eligible to do so. Just know that those are the basic requirements to do varsity contests in Minnesota. And here's kind of a look at that registration portal. All of the sports that we have, all 18 of them will be listed. And this is for the 2024-2025 school year. We have registration for the 2025-26 school year open right now as well. So you could register for both, but if you're going to register for one, I recommend that you register for this year first. Don't register for 25-26 unless you're super confident that you're going to be around for 2 years. Then we would like you to do that, but we would recommend that you register for 24-25 first. Registering for a sport does not get you assignments automatically, and it doesn't connect you with an association automatically. It just gets you part of our list to get you rules books and get you resources and for you to complete your requirements. To do that, you need to pay your fee. The fee is $30 for sport one and $15 for each additional sport. And if you come back for a second year, that fee structure is the same. And then our returning veteran officials, it's $70 for sport one and $20 for each additional. And that fee structure will be in place for the next couple of years. You can purchase other publications through our online store if you wish, but at least at a minimum, you will receive a rules book and a case book and or mechanics manual for your sport. Background checks are required of every official in our program. When you're brand new, we run it that year, roughly 2 weeks before the season starts. If you are a returning official, we will run a recheck once every 5 years. That's why a birth date and social security number is required when you register. A concussion course is required by state law. If you're working with youth, the concussion module was new last year. And so The officials who've been in the program have already taken that last year or this year, and they don't need to take it again until after next school year, at which case we'll wipe the slate clean and everyone will need to take it again at that point. Every official completes a general officiating online module once, and that's things that are applicable to every sport. And once you watch it the one time, you're good. And then after that, as far as requirements for your particular sport, you will watch an online rules module that's specific to your sport. So if you're a basketball official, that basketball online rules module opened up a couple weeks ago and is due for completion by Wednesday of this week. If you're a wrestling official, you still have some more time. And then our spring officials, as an example, baseball, softball, track, boys and girls lacrosse, adapted softball, those will open up a couple weeks before their season starts. So we have a lot of people who register and then they say, okay, I'm ready to do the test in the module now, and I can't find it. Yep, you won't find it until a couple weeks before the season starts. And then as soon as that's made available, everyone who's in the system gets an email with a newsletter that tells you every step and everything you need to do for that season. As far as the exam goes, depending on the sport, it varies in length from 30 to 100 questions. You need to score 80% to pass. It's open book, so we encourage you to look at your rules book and go through the exam. There's always a written copy that you can look at and work on ahead of time, but you need to submit your answers electronically. We encourage you to work with veteran officials and go through the exam with them. You're just going to learn a lot more and you're going to do a lot better. It is really interesting. Some of our new officials that try to take the exam the first time without a rules book or ever having seen one, they find out in many cases the rules are a lot more challenging than they thought. We do have a lot of people who think, well, I played the sport, so I know the rules, and it's not quite that simple. You'll find out that there's a little bit more to it than that. And that's why, as Tony and Tim mentioned, it's just really a good idea to get your nose in the rules book almost daily, especially when you're new and you're learning. So, but part of that is, excuse me, passing the exam 80% or better. And we encourage you to work with others on that. And all of your eligibility requirements are on Arbiter, not on another site, not on the league's website. Everything you need to do is on Arbiter. As I mentioned previously, if you're new, you're going to get a rules book, case book, or mechanics manual, depending on the sport. That will get mailed to you, and then rules changes, points of emphasis, and other general league information is available on the Arbiter Central Hub. And we update that for each sport, and as the year goes, more information and resources are placed on that site. Just here's some numbers of officials to give you an idea of where we've been. Last year, I would say was one of our better non-economic downturn years. Typically, when we have economic downturns, we see increases in officials because they're looking for other opportunities to make money. And we actually had probably the highest percentage increase where an economy was doing, relatively well. And so that was good. That's also exciting because people are coming back, after COVID and are, more and more comfortable all the time getting back out there. So we've had a lot of officials who took COVID off that have returned, which is awesome. But we've also continued to see quite a number of new officials join our ranks. So we have 6,000 unique officials roughly, but you see that 7,586 number. That means that there's people that do more than one sport, and about a third of our officials do more than one sport. We provide training and development curriculum clinics in these sports. We also work with the other sports on their training development material, but in a lot of cases, those other sports do far and away more than what we would expect or require. That's why we don't piggyback on that. One example is dance team. They provide very significant training for their officials, and typically an entire day, sometimes a couple days of training, which is more than we expect. We typically expect about 3 hours of training once every 2 years for postseason consideration. So that's why you don't see those other sports here, but we continue to work with them on their offerings as well. We also work on training and development opportunities throughout the season. We do that in football and basketball currently, but we have done it in volleyball, gymnastics in the past, and we have done softball, baseball, looking to do some, excuse me, some wrestling development this year. And we're trying to get to a point where we're offering continual training, video training, quizzes, and so forth as the year goes, so that you always have access to those resources. And 18 activities is what I've mentioned. We have probably, much more than 35 clinics. Or at least it seems that way once we get going with them. But we provide quite a number of opportunities for you to learn and get better at your craft. And we do that through preseason meetings in each sport as well. And as I mentioned earlier, we have 100 unique officials associations in the state. And their job is to, in most cases, to assign officials in their particular sport, their particular part of the state. But they also work on training and development and mentorship. With 6,000 officials, Pam and I and the supervisor team can't begin to mentor and train every possible official. It's just much more effective when there's that local approach, and that's the great service that our officials associations provide. They're also the main contact for their members, and the charter clinicians are the go-to people for their groups for rules interpretations and those kind of items. From an equipment standpoint, let me just pause there. Going back to the associations, we have the list of associations on our site, and what sports and what part of the state that they cover, and we will send that information to you along with the other information from this meeting. Equipment. Every sport has its own unique expectations. Obviously, if you're going to be a baseball umpire, you're going to need a little bit more equipment. If you're going to be a hockey official, you're going to need a little bit more equipment. If you're going to go officiate gymnastics or dance team, you need less. But each of them has their own, and we have a list of what that looks like for each sport on our site. But the cost will range 100 to 300 depending on the sport, the quality of the equipment, and what you may already have. And many associations and apparel companies do have discounts for new people, so you'd want to check in with either with the association or with apparel companies on starter packages. Insurance is not something that people want to talk about or really care about until they need it, but just want you to know that we do have some supplemental insurance as part of your registration, but we also encourage National Association of Sports Officials insurance for folks to just supplement that, and they also provide legal representation if something were to happen in a contest. And then we encourage you to get out and work as many scrimmages as possible, before you get into games. And Tim talked about that. Just say yes. Every opportunity you have to get out there and officiate is a chance to get better and to see plays. Because every time you see a play, you're gonna probably get it wrong, but you'll know the next time how to get that play right when you see it. And the way to do that is to work as many scrimmages and games as you can, or contests, to try to adjust to the mechanics, the positioning, the speed of that sport. High school kids are bigger, faster, stronger all the time, so we need to keep working at our craft to stay up with them, frankly. And then you're ready to go. You can start working contests, seek out a mentor who can give you advice and training and feedback as you go throughout the year, and then just keep working at it. You're not going to be perfect. You're not going to be a Super Bowl official right out of the gate. You're not going to work the World Series after your first year. Just know that you're going to make mistakes, and that's okay. You just learn from those, and you just keep getting better as you go. And you know, every rule that I know is from a mistake, and I know most of the rules, so I can tell you that I've made most of the mistakes, as have all the veteran officials that are on this call. They've all been in your shoes, understand how challenging it is to be an official and to get started in it, but they also know how rewarding it can be. And that's why they continue to do it today, and that's why many of them are on this call, even though they've all been officiating for a while. They just like to be part of it and be part of giving back, and want to be here with you to support you on your journey into officiating. So, and with that, just want to thank all of you for being on here tonight to learn more about officiating at the high school level, and even with the youth, with MYAS and other youth organizations. And again, if you have questions about the youth side of things, basketball, baseball, wrestling, football in particular, go to MYAS.org for more information. And then for the league, we'll email everyone who's on this call with more resources to get started with high school officiating, and certainly encourage you to respond to that email or to email officials@mshsl.org directly if you have questions about getting started with high school officiating. So thanks for being on here tonight to learn more. I will stick around to answer any questions if there are any. Otherwise, you're free to go, and we will send you more information about officiating with the league, and hopefully you find a way to make it work within your schedule to get started with officiating yet this year.